Hi, welcome to Community Forum. My name is Stephanie Patton, and I will be guest hosting Community Forum today. Today we're going to be talking about the federal 2020 census, and we have a great panel of folks here to talk with you about that today. So I'm going to let the panel introduce themselves.
My name is Tamisha Civil. I'm a resident of Stoughton, Massachusetts. I'm also part of the Joseph Dahr Elementary School Parent Council Committee, and I'm also a troop leader for Stoughton Girl Scout troops as well.
My name is Heloísa Galvão. I am with the Brasilia Women's Group and the New England Community Center right here in Stoughton, and we have a partner to do the best for our community and have all Brazilians answering the census.
Hi, my name is Pat Basler. I'm the Stoughton Public Library Director, and we are all part of the 2020 Census Complete Count Committee.
Hi, my name is Raymond Bennett. I'm a Senior Partnership Specialist with the U.S. Census Bureau for Norfolk County.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Carrara, and I am your interim town clerk for the town of Stoughton.
Great. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. So I thought we would start out and we would talk a little bit about what is the federal census, and I thought maybe Ray could kick us off and give us a little bit of background.
Sure. So the federal census is a once-a-decade count of every person in the United States where they live and sleep most of the time. Since 1790, in every 10 years, years ending in 0, we conduct this count of people to decide where resources and political power is aligned. So every 10 years, we do the census count, and this year, 2020, is the opportunity we get to count every person where they live and sleep. Great.
And Ray, I think one of the things you shared with us that I thought was interesting is that the census was mandated in the Constitution, right?
That's a great point. The Article 1, Section 2 of the Constitution requires that every person be counted in the United States. And Thomas Jefferson was actually the first director of the federal census.
Oh, neat. Excellent. Great. So we've put together in the town a census count committee, and I know, Pat, you were hoping to explain that a little bit more. People introduce themselves as part of the committee, but to share a little bit about what that is and why we have that.
Sure. So when the federal government started preparing, which must have been a year ago, at least, right, Ray, for the census, they reached out to town clerks and public libraries and asked the leadership in those departments if they would put together, other groups as well, but to ask them if they would consider putting together on a voluntary basis a 2020 Complete Count Committee. And the goal was to have a committee that would meet pretty regularly during the early months of this year, January, February, up through March, and bring together stakeholders from the community who can learn about why the census is important, and to be able to help our local citizens understand that if everyone fills out the census, more money from the federal government will come to the town. I've worked in the town for 22 years, and every year we get a amount of money as part of the state aid package to the town. The schools get state aid. We'll talk later about all the other things that the funds from the federal government support, but the census really is important to get a real snapshot of how many people are currently in the town. And since we only do it every 10 years, if we don't get a complete count this year, we lose the benefit of those funds for 10 years. So it really is a pretty important effort. And so when Stephanie and I were first approached by it, we thought, we need to do this. I mean, the town always can use more money, and it would be a shame to gyp the town for all the vital services that we can take care of with this funding.
Right. Do you want to talk a little bit about who else is involved in the committee or some of the organizations?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So our initial meeting, I reached out to, Stephanie and I put together a mailing list, basically an email list. We reached out to Ray and, the federal level, and Ray came and gave a great overview when we had our kickoff meeting. We had representatives from the various religious groups in town. We had Tony Souza, which many people who know him from town, he was a selectman for years. He immigrated here from Portugal. when he was younger, and he's taken the he's got a lot of energy, and he went to all 3 Portuguese social clubs and gave like a 45-minute spiel on why this is important, and he did it in English and in Portuguese. We asked Tamisha, volunteer, to come on the committee. She is of Haitian heritage and represents a population that may be difficult to count in Stoughton, because many of the Haitians came here after, was it the earthquake several years ago? And, there's still potentially could be an immigrant status, or they just haven't been here long. They haven't been here for 10 years, so certainly they don't know how important the census is. We have other group organizations in town. We had somebody from the Chamber of Commerce. I can't think of all the organizations. The schools, we had a very good representation with the superintendent of schools, John Marcus, as well as Mary Shea and Diane Dolan, who was representing the IT part of the school system. And so we had Smadar Jikow, who couldn't be here today, but she runs the adult literacy program at the library. And our goal is to really figure out who is chronically undercounted and then reach out to those groups. And for Stoughton, we know that we have 17 languages represented at the high school. We have a very big immigrant population. So we want to make sure that all those people get counted. And we also have a baby boom going on, and we really need to have children of even a day old need to be counted on the day that you're filling out the census. Because again, for 10 years, you lose those funds if they aren't counted. So that's the group has been meeting pretty regularly and trying to come up with strategies to reach out to everybody so that we do get a complete count.
Mm-hmm. Great. And one of the strategies that we were working on is a public service announcement, which we will air later during the show, and also will be available for folks digitally. So when you see that public service announcement, if you get it, if you see it on Facebook, share it with your friends. We want people to be able to share this information broadly across Stoughton so we can get the best count that we can. Great. So I'm going to ask Stephanie, our interim town clerk, to talk a little bit about, we know that the town has been doing a census currently, and that might be a little confusing to people, right?
Oh yes, I anticipated that. We've gotten some calls, but there are 2 censuses going out. One, which is for the town, and you'll know that it's for the town because actually it does say my name right at the top of it, that I am sending it to you, the interim town clerk, Stephanie Carrara. And that is sent out every year. That is for the town. It has keeps up our population. You need to return it to stay on the voters list. It has, this year we've added a column for veterans, if you're a veteran or a spouse of a veteran, which I think is very important, and that will help out the veterans agent that we have in our town. And it'll help out the schools with the population, with the children that are, once they're on there, even though they're infants, the school will know, like in 5 years, they'll be going to kindergarten. And this year, along with our standard dog paperwork that we put in with every census, this year I included information about the upcoming census, and it's in English and it's in Portuguese. As Pat said, we have a number of dialects, and I believe Samir said that we actually have 26 dialects in the town of Stoughton. So we want to definitely get both censuses answered. We, mine is, I shouldn't say mine, I said the town's is purple and white, and it has my name on it. Any questions you have about that one, please call my office. And anyone in the office, including myself, will take your call and help you with it. But also, the federal census is getting sent out today, which is March 12th. And I know people will be concerned. They'll be like, "Oh, I just got this one. I just answered it. Why do I have to send out another one?" Call us and we'll explain, the reasons why you have to send that out. Because the federal census comes out every 10 years, and it can redistrict where you live. So eventually your precinct could be changed. It does a lot. And again, like Pat said, we need that $2,400 for the town of Stoughton to get those programs up and running, which I think are very, very important.
Great. So we want to make sure people do both. They need to please do your town census, and then please do your federal census when that comes. And we're going to talk about how you're going to receive the federal census and what that is going to look like. So I think earlier, Ray, you used 3 words to describe the census. You talked about important, safe, and easy. And so we're going to talk about each of those 3 points and break them down a little bit. So let's talk about why the census is important, and we've alluded to that a little bit. And I know we also have a slide that lists some of the things, so maybe we can pull that up also. And maybe, Ray, you can kick us off about the importance of that federal census.
Thank you. The census is important because it is how we determine how over $675 billion in federal funding will be spent throughout the next decade. We only get one chance to get this right. So whatever the count is in 2020, we're stuck with that number for 10 years. So it's very critical we get an accurate count. It also determines the number of representatives each state gets in the U.S. House of Representatives. It determines voting precincts, school districts, state legislative districts as well. And it also allows small businesses and nonprofits to decide, can we expand to this area? Is there a need that we can fulfill in this area? Should we build a hospital here? Should we hire more firefighters? Can we hire more firefighters? Federal funding for these programs is critical, and an accurate census is critical to making sure Stoughton gets its fair share of the resources available.
Great. Does anybody else want to add to that around some of the importance or some of the other programs locally that get supported? I know, Pat, you indicated the library received some funds, right?
Sure. So state aid to public libraries and to public schools is funded by this federal money that Ray was talking about. It also supports public transportation, highway construction, infrastructure, which we are desperately in need of in New England and across the country. It supports WIC, which is for women and infants and family financial support for healthy eating. It supports, I think, the food stamp program. It's really is part of the social safety net that people depend on. I'm trying to think of other things that's Medicare and Medicaid, which, you know, I'm going to be 65 in June. I'm very grateful for Medicare, but that's something we all take for granted. And if you undercount the number of senior citizens in your town, for instance, then, you know, as a general point, we're underfunding those kinds of services. The same thing goes for babies. I mean, that was something that shocked all of us when Ray came and talked, because we were like, why wouldn't people include a newborn or an infant or a small baby in their census? But I think sometimes people think it has to do with voting, and they just kind of construe that and don't count them, which is really a shame, because that's 10 years that you're not getting those funds. And the support, I can't say enough about how important it is for supporting schools, and this is really something that affects all of us. So that's what I have.
Great. Stephanie, you want to add anything to that?
I do. I want everyone to know that both the federal census and the town census are private. They're not public documents. We don't release any information that's on the census. They're put in, the town census is put in by my staff and myself. They are in a locked file. We have to retain them for 2 years, and then we destroy them. We destroy them ourselves. So there's no information getting out on the town census to anyone. You know, it helps us with our street lists. And I also want to say that the federal census is it's safe, it's confidential, it's secure. No information will get out on that as well. And Ray, in the meeting that we had, you mentioned that about if a person gave out that information on the federal census, that they would go to jail and pay a severe fine. Ours says it's a legal document, but it is like the other one. It is safe. It is secure. No information is released on that. And I think I want to make our town residents know that ours is safe, like the federal government's.
Great. And we're going to go into some more detail about that in just a few minutes. I do want to underscore the thing about the $2,400, because when we had this conversation at the first Complete Count meeting, I was really surprised by that. And I think all of us were. and felt like, whenever I talk to people and I say, wow, did you know that if you aren't counted on the census, it basically costs the town $2,400 a year times 10 years, right? So $24,000 lost in aid. And I think you guys talked about the kinds of aid that supports, but it's just so important for something that really takes 5 minutes to fill out, just the value for the community to take the time to do that document. So I felt like I wanted to say that again because it really resonated for me as a reason that it's important to do this, and I was really surprised. That was information that I didn't have, and I think that a lot of people don't know. Yeah.
Do you think it's a good opportunity to say these things in 2 different languages in case people are watching?
Yeah. Do you want to repeat that? And yeah, that would be great.
Sure. Pour Haïtien qui rete dans Stoughton, nous avons census ou ta supposé fil pour chaque monde qui rete dans caillou pour fil li mettre un bébé, l'offre fil census ça, pas gen monde qui voye information ou pas besoin peur, pas gen monde qui besoin connaître sous son immigrant, sous fil papier ça ou joindre quartier a joindre $2,400 pour 10 ans. Census ça l'offre libre opportunité pour quartier à joindre cob pour l'école, pour WIC, pour healthcare, Medicaid, li ou joindre opportunité pour joindre ressources dans communauté. So nous demandons sous joindre au census 2020 ou supposé fili, mettez non petit ou mettez non bébé ou mari ou pour nous faire fonds pour nous joindre cob pour communauté, pour nous joindre ressources pour nous partager avec nous toutes.
Thank you.
Então, falando em português, o que elas estão falando aqui é que o censo é muito importante, porque quando a gente não responde ao censo, a cidade perde $400. Vocês multiplicam isso por 10 anos, dá $4.000 e poucos. Vocês imaginem o dinheiro que está sendo perdido, porque o dinheiro que o censo investe, que o censo coloca na cidade, ele retorna para mim, para você, para minha família, para sua família, para o coletivo daquela cidade. Então é importante porque ele vai para a escola, ele vai para a creche, ele vai para o seguro de saúde, ele vai para tantos programas de alimentação e de tudo que nós precisamos, serviços sociais. Por isso que a gente precisa que você responda o censo. Eu já respondi o meu hoje, então amanhã, hoje é você. E a gente está aqui para trabalhar com você para que você faça isso.
Great, thank you. So I think this would be a good moment for us to pause for some public service announcements, and then we're going to come back and talk about how the census is safe and easy.
Hi, this is Roy Cohen. The crew would like to thank Maxie's Delicatessen, located at 117 Sharon Street in Stoughton. You can reach them by calling 781-341-1662. The American Cancer Society is looking for volunteers to drive cancer patients to and from treatments. You can volunteer by calling 1-800-ACS-6662 or online at www.cancer.org. Ilsa Mock's Food Pantry and St. Anthony's Free Market is located at 2 Park Avenue in Stoughton. For more information, call Christine Gallagher. That's 781-341-0611 or 781-341-0549. To get involved with Meals on Wheels, call Jessica at 781-344-8882, extension 2. The Stoughton Penny Saver. Our business is advertising your business in Stoughton. To advertise, call 781-344-4833. Community Forum showtimes here in Stoughton. You can see it on Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays at 6 p.m., Monday at 8 p.m., Tuesday at 5 p.m., either on Comcast Channel 9 or Verizon Channel 28. If you have any comments or suggestions, contact us at communityforum1@yahoo.com. Samaritans, 41 West Street, 4th floor in Boston, Massachusetts, 02111, or call them at 617-536-2460. The 24-hour helplines, 877-870-HOPE or 877-870-4673. Samaritans, 800-252-TEEN or 800-252-8336, or online www.samaritanshope.org. For you bingo players, I want to tell you about the Monday night bingo being held at the Ahava Torah Congregation, 1179 Central Street in Stoughton. The doors open at 4:30 p.m. The games start at 6:30 p.m. You come on down and win some money. They have two big prizes. One is $1,199 and the other one is up to $3,000. So come on down.
Great. So we're gonna jump right back in, and we're gonna talk about safety and the census, because I know sometimes people have concerns both about putting their information in online and then communicating with census workers and sort of what's real and what could be fraudulent. So Ray, can you talk to us a little bit about the safety things that are in place for the census? And I know we have a slide for this as well.
So first, I'll just talk about what makes how to identify that a census survey is legitimate. Every census employee will have a badge in a bag that clearly identifies them as a census employee, and all our names are also searchable in a public database to make sure that you know that it's safe, that you're dealing with an actual census employee. We will never ask you for your social security number. We'll never ask you for banking information. We'll never ask you anything on behalf of a political party, and we'll never ask you for a credit card number. We will never ask you for money. I want to make that very clear. Sometimes people take the census as an opportunity to run a scam, and we want to make sure people know what is legitimate and what is safe. So look for the badge, look for the Census Bureau bag that they'll be carrying, and again, all of our names will be searchable on a public database, so you can verify that we are legitimately there for a legitimate purpose. The other part of safety is understanding how we use your data. We will never share your response to the census. It is 100% safe. We are not authorized to share information that would identify an individual or a household with any government agency or court at the federal, state, or local level. That's true of every response to the census, regardless of residency status, regardless of how many people live in a one-bedroom home. It is not, the Census Bureau's objective is to count everybody once, only once, and in the right place. We use our results to produce statistics, and when we release our results, we only release them in the form of statistics with no personally identifiable information attached. So it is 100% safe to respond to the census, and everybody that works for the Census Bureau, as was mentioned previously, takes an oath of confidentiality. So whether you work for the Census Bureau for a short time knocking on doors, or whether you work for the Census Bureau, make a career out of it, you take an oath of confidentiality that you are held to for life, that you will not disclose this information to the public or any government agency or court. To violate that oath subjects us to 5 years in prison or a $250,000 fine. So bottom line, the census is safe.
I have a quick question, Ray. So we serve a population of immigrant adults who come to learn about English and become citizens. We had 35 adult learners become citizens last year. And they're all in some state of, they could be in some state of not full residency yet. They're trying, they're in the process, but I'm sure we've had many questions about whether if they fill the census out, will that be reported to immigration? And that it sounds like you're saying that definitely can't be reported to immigration, but if you could just reassure people. And then the other question is, for people who, if they are in a rooming house or in some sort of a transient setting, why is it important for them to fill it out as well? I mean, we know that it's important for the town to get the funds, but if you could just cover that a little bit more.
So again, the Census Bureau is not authorized to share your information with any government agency or court at any level of government. So to sort of highlight that as an example, I'd say, it's not that other agencies haven't sought census information. It's that the federal law that protects your data and your response to the census, Title 13, is so strong that it's impenetrable by other agencies, so they can't access our data. So it is 100% safe to respond to the census. We don't ask a question about citizenship on the 2020 decennial census. So, there's really no, I want to be as clear as possible. It is safe to respond to the census.
Great. And I, before I'm going to actually ask these ladies to contribute a little bit too, but you shared a story with us too about, I think nobody has broken that oath in, I don't even know how long, right?
That's right. So the Title 13 was put in place in 1954, and since that was put in place, there's never been a breach.
Which is great. So that helps people to feel secure that, people take this oath seriously and that law is very, very strong to protect folks. I'm wondering if our ladies here in the second row might also talk a little bit about safety concerns and some of the populations you work with and some of the questions that maybe you've been asked and to reassure the public about how safe the census is.
I would say that people, especially in the Haitian community, fear because of their immigration status. They may not want to partake in it because they feel that their information will be shared. And also there is a lack of understanding and education of what the census is and what can it really do. So I think by having different people from different organizations or ethnic background to give an understanding and explain to the Haitian community or the Brazilian community what the census is and what it can do and how it can impact your community, I think it's great. And we don't share your information. I think that's a number one thing people want to know. Your social security should never be involved. Your financial status should never be involved. So I think once people get to know that and have someone in their own community to explain that to them, then they get a better sense of understanding and knowing that it's safe. And I'm going to say it in my my
Please.
native language,
Yes.
just for everyone to know.
Yep.
Pour haïtien qui nan communauté an, lò fil census 2020, nous pas partager information du tout à personne moun, ou pas jamais bay numéro social ou pas jamais bay combien kob ou gen nan bank ou depuis on papier qui mando ça, c'est pas nous mêmes. Nous just mando pour fil non petit tout, après adresse autorité. Après, nous pas jamais partager rien de immigration parce que ça, nous pas besoin qu'on ait de ça. Nous juste besoin de partager information pour nous qu'à joindre $2,400 pour communauté, pour joindre pour qu'à bénéfice ou même à famille, surtout pour éducation. En pile moun travail dur, yo pas gen quoi pour yo mettre ti moun dans des care au programme. Comme ça nous joindre, li aller dans programme dans ressources pour qu'à aider moun dans communauté.
Right.
Yeah, for all the reasons have been laid out here, I just want to stress that in my community, the Brazilian community, and Stoughton is such a big community for Brazilians, it's home for many Brazilians. It's very important that they go to the community center for the New England Community Center, NEC, because they trust the organization, they trust people working there, they can fill out the form there. They can do it in the computer, they can do it in the phone, in Portuguese. So it's such a it's such of importance for the community to do this and be counted and benefit from the income that will come from the census. But also there is no reason for them to, I mean, I understand that they are afraid, but there is no reason for them to hold to that because it's going to benefit them instead of going against them. So I'll just reinforce that in Portuguese.
Yeah.
Você que está aí do outro lado, que você que está assistindo esse programa, você que mora em Stoughton e você que conhece o NEC, vá lá, faça o seu censo lá, em português, no telefone, no computador, você pode fazer no telefone. É super importante, vai estar trabalhando para você, para sua família, para sua comunidade. E não tem problema de segurança, as informações são seguras, não vão ser passadas para nenhum órgão federal. Elas ficam com o censo. É proibido o censo passar a informação. Confie na gente.
Great, thank you. Excellent. So let's talk about how easy it is to fill out the census and the different ways that there are that people will be asked to respond. And I know we also have a slide for that lists them. So maybe, Ray, if you could take us through that would be great.
Sure. So this is there are 4 ways to self-respond to the 2020 census, and it is the easiest way to respond. It has never been easier to self-respond to a census. So for the first time in history, you can respond online. You can respond on phone for the first time in history. Anybody that still would like to fill out the census on paper, because that's the way they've always done it, will still be given that opportunity. And then a personal visit by a census taker at your door. especially for some of the folks that are worried about an interaction with a federal employee knocking on their door. The easiest way to avoid a knock on your door is to self-respond to the census. And you can self-respond online, by phone, or by paper form. So the questions that we'll ask when you get this invitation to respond to the census, starting today, March 12th, your name, your age, your date of birth, your race and origin, whether you're of Hispanic origin, relationship to the person that's filling out the form, tenure, whether you own or rent your home, and then operational questions to make sure we don't miss those young kids in the house. So that's really what we're asking, and that is how you can respond to the census. And I believe we have some folks here that have already filled out their census.
Yep. Yeah, I took the census this morning. I went online. It was very easy. It took me, I don't know, probably less than 10 minutes. There are 3 of us in my household. And it was exactly as you described. And in fact, I know that one of the ways people will be asked to respond is they're going to get a postcard in the mail that has a unique identifier code that's connected to your address. I didn't have that yet, but I was able to enter my address, and I guess the Census Bureau geolocates you or whatever it is that they do, right? And I knew it was me. And I know Heloisa also took the census today, right? Yep.
I did, and it was so exciting. I did it on the computer, and a colleague of mine did in the cell phone. It was like 7 minutes.
Yeah.
It was very easy. I did it in Portuguese because I wanted to show that you can do that in Portuguese. And it, as you said, was quick, easy, and, done.
Great.
Done.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
If I could just add one more thing, it's that when you get that first mailing, it's not actually a postcard. The first mailing, it's a package that you're going to get from USPS with a letter, and it'll have instructions with the phone numbers for the 13 different languages, which we'll talk about in a second. There's 13 different languages you can respond online and by phone in, and there will be 13 different links and 13 different phone numbers to access those languages. So that first mailing will be a full letter that you'll receive from USPS. As we go farther, there will be reminder postcards sent. But I just want to clarify that there's a difference between a postcard and a package.
Excellent.
And the other thing I just want to clarify is that paper form, if that's how you'd like to fill it out, you're just going to have to wait a little bit. It's going to start coming April 8th, arriving in mailboxes. So while the invitation to respond online and by phone starts today, the paper form will come April 8th. So just keep an eye, and that's throughout Norfolk County, actually. We're kind of uniform in that way. Other parts of the state will get the paper form in that initial mailing, but all of Norfolk County, we don't have to worry about any confusion there. The paper form will start arriving in mailboxes on April 8th.
Okay. And are there other places people can get that paper form, or will they only be able to access it in their own mail?
You will only be able to access the paper form in your own mail. There will not be other paper forms, say, at the library. Or
Okay,
like
so
that.
different than like tax forms or
Right.
things that might be available.
That's right.
Okay, excellent. I know we do have a slide with the languages that are available, so maybe we can put that up so people can just see the different language support that's available. So this is the online version, right?
Online and by phone.
Okay, and so so this slide shows all the language support online, and then I know, well, here we'll flip it. These are all the phone numbers if you wanted to complete the census by phone in a different language as well.
Exactly. One of the great features of this is when you call these numbers, you'll be speaking directly with somebody that speaks the language that you're hoping to respond to the census in.
Excellent.
And not only can they help you respond to the census, they can answer any questions you have. Prior to today, these numbers were live sort of as a test.
Yep.
And you could call and ask questions, and they could walk you through what the census would be asking. And then hopefully today you're calling back and filling out your census and doing your civic duty.
Excellent. And in the web-based version, it looked like the languages were at the bottom of the screen. I think that's what I saw today. So you could click on a different language if you recognize that as your own language or the language you wanted to respond in, and it was just simply that easy.
Exactly right.
Great. Excellent. Does anybody else do you ladies want to talk a little bit about how easy it was and maybe say something?
Well, that is, but I just want to add
Yeah.
to what he said about the form, online form. I'm sorry, about the phone, because it's a real person.
Right.
It's not automated, so
Right.
it's your language. So when you call, we go straight to that person, pick up the phone, and help you to fill out the form. And I think many people who maybe want to use that system because it's easier. You don't need the computer, you don't need the cell phone, you don't need the paper, you just do on the phone.
Right.
Yep.
Excellent. Yeah.
And what I would add is if people are still not sure, definitely use the number and call and ask questions. So that way you can have a sense of security that, you know, this is really from the Census Bureau. And also, I cannot forget our youth, which is very important to our community, is that if your parent doesn't speak English or does not understand what the census is all about, please take the time and explain to them, Mom, this is the census of 2020 that tells us who's in the household and how we can benefit from it. So I think it's very important for us to mention to the youth, if you see the census 2020, to take the time and help your parents understand what it is.
And actually, while you brought that up, I know we weren't going to spend a lot of time talking about this, but Ray had indicated that there are programs in the schools, like through Scholastic News and stuff, where kids are learning about the census, and it's being built into some of the existing curriculum, right? So that kids are also hearing about it, and they know that it's going on, and depending on their age, they're learning different things about it, right?
That's a really good point. And our last week actually was our Statistics in Schools week, where we were sending things home in students' backpacks and virtual backpacks, announcing that the census was coming, to make sure we count young children, why it's important, what it means for the school system. And I still think this is one of the better examples that I've heard, and this was from our regional director in New York. But he always says, if you have a school of 100 students and 20 of those students aren't counted, you still have 100 students showing up, but only funded for 80% or given 80% of the resources you need to serve those kids. So that's why schools play such an important role. And, you know, it's really critical that we get young kids counted, and that students, if they're the ones in the family that are helping to open read mail, if there's a language barrier, it's really helpful to give them the awareness that the census is coming.
Yep.
And we thank the school departments all across the state and the country that helped us navigate that tricky issue.
Great. And I had also heard the children's librarian was sharing a book about the census, right, with parents. And
That's right. Yeah. Amy Dean and Stacy Bashir's looked online and found several books actually that talk about the census and the history of it and how important it is. The other thing I want to say is we really, if people get to the point, you had talked about a series, a time schedule, like the mailing will come first, and then you'll get another mailing, and then you can do it online, and then somebody will knock on your door. Before you get to the knock on the door phase, come to the library. You can do it online there if you don't have a computer at home. The superintendent of schools, John Marcus, was talking about potentially doing a night or two at some of the elementary schools and setting up computer banks so that people could come in and fill out the census on a public computer. Those are all options that are available. You just need to come in and ask us. We will perhaps advertise that sometime in mid-April. But can you tell us that schedule and when the deadline is for this?
And we have a slide for that too, so we can pull that up so
That's
people
great.
can look at that. Yeah.
So yes, March 12th, that's today. March 12th, you will be able to start responding to the 2020 census. Those invitations will go out. March 16th is when the second reminder will come out, and every household is going to get those first two mailings, whether or not you filled out the census. After that, you'll only get mail from us. We'll only start annoying you if you have not yet filled out your census. So the last week in March, you'll get another reminder. That'll be the first postcard that's sent out. April 8th to the 16th is when the paper forms will start arriving in mailboxes. And then the last week of April is our last round, the final paper reminder before we start sending folks to knock on doors to get face-to-face census responses. But even if you haven't filled out your census by that time in April, you can still go online or call in. If you get that knock and you say, I don't really want to talk to this person, you can still go online and on the phone and fill out your census and stop the door knocks. But we are going to be counting from May 13th is when door-to-door enumeration really starts in most places until the end of July. So you have until the end of July to self-respond to the census as well. And I just want to add that self-response is the most accurate data that the Census Bureau gets. It is the most efficient for the taxpayer. The door-to-door enumeration process is extremely expensive. So going online and talking on the phone and filling it out on paper really does a number to make this a successful census. So I really want to stress how important it is to self-respond.
Great. And I'm wondering, Stephanie, you want to add something to that? Yeah.
I do.
Great.
Sorry about that.
No.
I just want to let everybody know that, too, if they do have to have census takers, in order to apply for that type of a job, you can go online and apply for that, and it pays $27.50 an hour, I believe. Am I correct on that, Ray? So if you need a little extra cash, it is summer coming up. You might want to go on vacation. A census taker might be the way for you to go.
Great. And I'm wondering if maybe we can have the ladies say something about how easy it is in each of your native languages, since we did that with the other 2 points. Yeah.
Absolutely. Pour Haïtien yo kap gade an, ou gen dwa ale nan internet la pou fil, li pran 5 minutes seulement pour mette non, li facile, li pa gran pil temps pour gaspiller lo ap mette non nan computer. Just sou gen question toujours ele nou, ou gen dwa vini nan librarian pour chita pour parler avec un monde, nou pa ka fil li pou, mais ou gen dwa fil li facile, li important, après nous pas partager information à personne. Mon.
Então, a gente está falando sobre como é fácil preencher o censo. Eu fiz o meu hoje de manhã, 7 minutos. Não mais do que 7 minutos. Muito, muito fácil. Claro que você tem que listar todo mundo que mora na sua casa, mesmo que seja uma pessoa que divida o apartamento com você. Né? Como eles dizem em inglês, seja um roommate, você tem que listar todo mundo. Uma das pessoas tem que listar todas as outras. Mas, mesmo assim, não leva mais do que uns 10 minutos. É importantíssimo que você aproveite essa oportunidade, que aí não tem ninguém batendo na sua porta. Você entra, você faz na sua língua, rapidinho. Muito bom.
Great. So let's talk a little bit about parts of town or populations that can be challenging to count. And Ray had shared with us a map at one point about a particular part of town that maybe has like a lot of people who rent, and sometimes they're challenging. And so let's talk about how we're going to really try to get those counts up.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Census Bureau, we create a forecast for where we expect low response to not perform as well as other parts of the state and the country. And Stoughton actually has one of the highest, what we call a low response score. And we make that determination based on a number of factors. And again, at the end of the day, it's just our forecast. It's our best guess. But we use resources. It's an educated guess based on how many renters live in an area, other hard-to-count populations such as foreign-born, people that speak a language other than English at home, so maybe there's a language barrier. Children under 5 is the largest undercounted population in the country. So sort of this one area in Stoughton, right in the town halls, right in the center of that census tract, is one of the hardest to count tracts in Norfolk County. And that's where we want to focus, and it's an area where there's not a ton of households. I think it's only 1,800 people that live in the tract, which is pretty small compared to a lot of the other census tracts, even in Stoughton. But it's very important that if 30% of those folks don't respond to the census, that requires 30%. That means we have to go knock on the door of those 30% of households that haven't responded. And it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of effort, and it impedes an accurate count. So the partnership program, of which I'm a part, we try to find the trusted voices in those communities, and the library and the town clerk and community access are great partners that help us do this. But we try to find those trusted voices because at the end of the day, I'm a federal employee, and me telling you to fill out the census only means so much. It means something, but it only means so much coming from me. But it means a lot more if they hear it from the school department. It means a lot more if they hear it from the librarian. It means a lot more if they hear it from the town clerk. It means a lot more if they hear it from people that they trust in their daily lives. So that's really what we're trying to do with the partnership program, is find the trusted voices in the hard-to-count communities to help us boost that self-response number. And hopefully going online and by phone will help us in that matter. But the really cool thing about the 2020 census is we'll be able to determine, starting March 20th, we'll be able to see in real time how our area is responding. So if Stoughton is lagging, we can go to the complete count committee and say, we're having some difficulties here. Who do we know? What kind of events are going on? What can we do to boost self-response? And that's for the first time in history. We'll be able to be that reactive. So from March 20th until the end of April, we'll get that data in real time. And then after April, once we start door-to-door enumeration, we'll get that data once a week.
Great.
So we'll be able to monitor that throughout the process, which is great.
Yeah, that's really exciting. So let's, we have a couple minutes left. I was hoping maybe we could talk about other kinds of questions that haven't come up yet. So, things like, I have a college student living somewhere else. Do I count them, or do they get counted another way, or a grandparent in assisted living?
So that's a great question. We have an operation called group quarters, which is currently underway. And group quarters is how we count people that live together in a group setting, usually where there's some sort of administration. So think college dorm rooms, nursing homes, prisons are counted the same way. And what we do is we count them where they are, and they answer actually a different questionnaire, and sometimes it's handled administratively. Basically, the whatever the entity is will get its own choice on how to respond. But they ask even more basic information than what the 2020 census asks, but it's to make sure that we get that accurate count of those big group quarters. We will do some interviews, like at a small nursing home, we'll still do person-to-person interviews, or at some group homes, like you mentioned earlier, or transitory locations, we'll do some interviews. But for the most part, it's handled administratively through electronics or paper forms. We also do service-based enumeration, which is how we count people that might be experiencing homelessness. And that's done over 3 days toward the end of March. And we get the locations of every mobile food van, every food pantry, every temporary shelter, and we go out and we conduct interviews there. And then the night of March 31st into April 1st, we get the location of every temporary non-sheltered outdoor location where people might be sleeping on April 1st. And we'll go out and we'll physically do a head count of every person to make sure we count everybody.
Great.
I have one question that has just recently come up related to the coronavirus. So you have college kids that should be at a dorm in another state. They go on spring break, and then they get an email that they're not supposed to go to class anymore. Everything's done online. In that instance, if they're at the dorm, they'll be counted there. But if they happen to go home and take their classes online from home, they would be counted there? Or do you know?
That's a very good question. So normally our rule of guidance is, where are you most of the year? And remember, the 2020 census is a snapshot in history, which is why we count in the federal census, we count college students where they go to school. If they're living either on campus or off campus, we count them there because that's where they go to school. That's where they're using resources most of the year. In this very unique instance, the group quarters operation for students that are still signed up to live in the dorms but are told to vacate for some period of time, we will still count them through that group quarters operation where they're counted at school. But it's for students that live off campus that becomes an issue of messaging. But we still want them counted where they live most of the year. And again, it's critical, especially for a state like Massachusetts, with as many colleges and universities that we have, that we count these folks where they are most of the year. So the group quarters operation will, again, that's handled administratively. So even though they might not physically be there on April 1st, they have been there most of the year and previous year. So they will be counted there. It's more of just getting the message out to students off campus.
Great. So we're coming close to the end of time. I do want to take a second to do another shout out about census positions. Are those still available if people are looking?
Yes. You can apply online at 2020census.gov /jobs.
Yep. You can throw that slide
We
up.
need to recruit 54,000 people across the Commonwealth to help us complete this mission. As I mentioned, it's the largest U.S. peacetime mobilization effort that the U.S. government does, but we do it on a very hyper-local level, and that's how we succeed. So we need your help. Sign up, 2020census.gov /jobs, $27.50 an hour, paid training, paid mileage when using a personal vehicle for government purpose. And it's really critical that we get the support we need, but we want people from Stoughton to work in Stoughton. We're not going to send you to Western Mass. You'll be working in the community in which you live.
Great, thank you. So let's take our last minute and a half here. If people want to have a final thought to sort of share, maybe we can pass the mic around one last time and people can add one last thing.
Just want to remind you that there's 2 censuses. One will be for the town and one will be for the federal government census. And please answer both. And if you need any assistance on either one of them, you can give us a call at 781-341-1300, extensions 9103, 9215, and mine is 9224. I'll be able to, help you out any way I can tell you where you can get them online. Our census is not online. The towns, I want to reiterate that, the towns is not online. You can either drop it off or you can mail it in to us. But again, both are safe and secure, and I hope you fill both of them out. Thank you.
Great.
I just want to let everyone know that it is very important and safe to complete the 2020 census, and we need to come as a community in order to make an impact and a change, and the time is now. So just if you have any questions, definitely call, or you can always go to the Stoughton Library where you can get your answers, where you can get your questions answered.
Well, very quickly, just this is about building community and having better neighbors. So this is for us, for all of us. So just do it.
I second that. Just do it.
If you have any other questions, you can go to 2020census.gov and find more information about the census. And this is an opportunity for all of us to pull in the same direction and everybody in the community work toward the same goal.
Great. So maybe we can just put up that one last slide about how you can connect with the census here through Facebook and Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, all of your favorite social media sources. I want to thank the panel. That you guys were amazing today. I really appreciate that you all were out here. I want to make sure we give a shout out to Maxie's, who provides food for the folks who come on these shows. And I want to thank our production team, Roy over there in the production booth. And I think we had a big team today because there were so many of us. So, so we want to say thank you to SMAC for doing that. And thanks for watching.
Hi, this is Stephanie Carrara, your interim town clerk for the town of Stoughton, reminding you that it's census time. This year, you will be receiving 2 censuses in the mail, one from the town and then one from the federal government. The one from the town will also have a reminder in it that the federal census is coming out at the end of March. It'll be in English, and we also have a Portuguese version. Both censuses are very important. The town one, for the town, it keeps up our population, and it helps the schools. Not only are you getting that one, but you'll be getting the federal census. The federal census is safe, it's important, and it's highly confidential. This is for the federal census, which is very, very important to answer. It will help us in the town of Stoughton. For every person that answers the census, we will get $2,400 for each person that is listed on the federal census. It is safe, it is important, and it's more important for the town of Stoughton to get that $2,400 for the next 10 years. So do your job and answer both censuses. It's very important, safe and easy, and let's get that money for Stoughton. Thank you.
Hola, mi nombre es Luisa Fernanda Gutiérrez y soy de Colombia. El censo es importante, contarte cuenta. Por cada persona que se cuenta, el pueblo de Stoughton recibe $2.400 por año durante 10 años.
Hello, a minha é Maria do Céu, também de Cabo Verde, estou ali na US. Estou ali para falar sobre recenseamento e de sua importância. Isso pode fazer recenseamento, isso pode marcar a diferença, não é? Porque para cada pessoa que é contado na Stoughton, e onde quem está vive, não é? É recebido $2.400 por ano e durante 10 anos.
Je suis Philippe Valentin, je suis d'Haïti. Le recensement est important. Votre dénombrement fait une différence. Pour chaque personne dénombrée, la ville de Stoughton reçoit $2.400 par année pendant 10 ans.
Non, moi, c'est d'Ashkaja. Moi, habite dans la ville de Stoughton, précisément Massachusetts. Le recensement est important. Côté où fait une différence pour chaque monde qui compte. Ville de Stoughton recevra $2.400 par année pour 10 anos.
Meu nome é Ana Caroline, eu sou do Brasil. O censo é importante. Sua contagem faz uma diferença para toda pessoa que é contada. A cidade de Stoughton recebe $2.400 por ano durante 10 anos.
اسمي خيرية حسن من العراق. الإحصاء السكاني مهم جدا. الإحصاء السكاني هو إحصائك يصنع الفرق لكل شخص ويحسب لمدينتك ستوتن لكي تحصل على $2,400 سنويا لمدة 10 سنوات.
My name is Yamilet Piselli, soy de Costa Rica. El censo es fácil, el censo se puede completar en línea, por teléfono o por correo. El soporte de idiomas está disponible.
Hallo, ik ben Maria de Cel, ben de Cabo Verde, estou ali na US. Você fala de recenseamento, né? E nós, mas é difícil, ele é fácil. Nós podemos preencher formulário para telefone, para e-mail, ou nós podemos escolher nossa própria linguagem, não é? Que é crioulo, né? E ele é fácil, não é? É difícil.
Salut, je suis Philippe Valentin, je suis d'Haïti. Le recensement est facile. Le recensement peut être rempli en ligne, par téléphone ou par courrier. Le formulaire est disponible en votre langue préférée.
Non, moi, c'est Paulinette. Moi, je suis dans Stoughton. Recensement facile. Vous êtes capable de remplir le recensement sur Internet, dans le téléphone, ou soit par la poste. Supporter langue disponível.
Meu nome é Ana Caroline, eu sou do Brasil. O censo é fácil. O censo pode ser preenchido na internet, no celular ou por cartas.
أنا خيرية من العراق. الإحصاء جدا سهل ويمكنك ملء الاستمارة على خط الإنترنت أو على هاتفك أو البريد، وهو دعم للغات المتاحة في المدينة.
Hola, mi nombre es Luisa, soy de Colombia.
Hola, mi nombre es Yamilet, soy de Costa Rica.
El censo es seguro, su información será confidencial.
No se podrá compartir con otras agencias gubernamentales.
Hallo, ik ben Maria de Cel, ben de Cabo Verde, da Vila Stoughton, e você fala sobre o recenseamento, não é? Então, falamos, mas ele é seguro e aquela informação de nós ele é confidencial, que está ser enviado para nenhum lugar, nem que está ser dividido com ninguém, não é? Portanto, e que problema nenhum nós fazer recenseamento, porque é benefício para nós todos.
Je suis Philippe Valentin, je suis d'Haïti. Le recensement est sécurisé. Vos informations seront confidentielles et ne peuvent pas être partagées avec d'autres agences gouvernementales.
Non, moi, c'est d'Ashkajan. M'habite dans la ville de Stoughton, Massachusetts. Recensement en sécurité. Information yo a prêté confidentielle. Et puis, yo pas qu'à partager avec l'autre agence gouvernement yo. Merci.
Meu nome é Ana Caroline, eu sou do Brasil. O censo é seguro. Sua informação será confidencial e não pode ser compartilhada com outras agências do governo.
أنا خيرية من العراق. الإحصاء سهل وآمن. معلوماتك سوف تكون سرية ولا يمكن أن نتقاسمها أو نضعها في الوكالات الحكومية الأخرى.
And don't forget to count your babies.
So do your job, answer both censuses, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call me at 781-232-9224. Thanks and have a great day.